How's it going, guys? Cody there, back again, dropping out another video. Right, guys, to be honest with you, I'm not really in the mood to do vlogs. I'm extremely tired. I couldn't sleep last night for love nor money, and I'm up all night tonight because there's a big UFC fight in the States, UFC 232. Gustafsson versus Jones 2, and then Amanda Nunes versus Chris Cyborg. So I'll be staying up to watch that. So I just sat there and I was crashed on the bed listening to music, as you do. I just thought, you know what, best get these vlogs done because there's about 5 or 6. The first one I'm going to do is an interview that I did with a publication called My London. Now, I'd never heard of them personally, but I spoke to Vicky on the phone. She asked me for comment about the rollout of phones within prisons. Now, I welcome it with open arms massively. It's a very, very big step in the right direction when it comes to reducing reoffending, maintaining family ties, which, let's face it, is that it can be the difference between life and death. I know that sounds like quite far-fetched, but trust me, if you're supporting a loved one in prison, you take that support away. Do you honestly believe that the prisoner would manage and wouldn't self-harm or attempt suicide or carry through with a suicide? People that are supporting someone in prison, they are simply saving prisoners' lives. And if you're in prison, if you're in a relationship with a prisoner as well, whilst inside, right, and you're tied into that roller coaster that you go through, it's like no other roller coaster. No theme park in the world it will give you the same ride, ups and downs, and side to sides and loops than a prison sentence. And if your relationship, if you're staying by your loved one whilst they're in prison, and your relationship survives the prison sentence, right? It can survive literally anything. Mark my words. Right, guys. So this is a story. This is an interview that I did with My London. Link in the description below, like I always do. The headline reads, it's about London, so obviously it's relevant to London, guys, because hence why it's called My London. So you might think, why is it about London? There you know. So these London prisons are putting phones in cells to reduce violence. The Justice Secretary hopes maintaining family ties will help criminals rehabilitate. In-cell phones to help prisoners maintain relationships with loved ones are being introduced in some London prisons in an attempt to reduce violence. Justice Secretary David Gork, he's the son of a police officer, high-ranking police officer or former police officer, announced on Friday, December the 28th, that 50 prisons would receive the new landline phones by 2020 March, in a rollout costing £10 million. It is hoped that removing the need to queue for limited phones in prisons such as Wormwood Scrubs, which is in East Acton, or Pentonville, which is in Islington, plus Belmarsh and Isis in Thamesmead, will reduce tension and mean fewer fights between prisoners. Research also indicates that maintaining close family ties with loved ones outside of prison reduces reoffending, with studies showing prisoners who receive family visits are 39% less likely to reoffend. That's making reference to the Farmer report, Lord Farmer. Justice Secretary David Gork said, "At this time of year, more than any other, we're reminded of the importance of family, and there can be few groups that this applies to more than prisoners. In-cell telephones provide a crucial means of allowing prisoners to build and maintain family relationships, something that we know is fundamental to their rehabilitation. Introducing them to more prisons in recognition of the contribution I believe in-cell telephones make to turning prisons into places of decency where offenders have a real chance to transform their lives. Calls on in-cell phones, which have so far been installed in 20 prisons in England and Wales, are recorded and can only be made to a small number of pre-approved numbers. Governors also have the power to remove the phones of those who have misused them." However, ex-offender Cody Lachey says a crucial oversight in the scheme means, despite being a great initiative and a step in the right direction, it may ultimately fail to achieve the government's ambitious goals. Now, that was a bit of a misquote there, to be fair with you. What I actually said was, what's the point in having something if you can't physically afford to use it? So it goes on. He said, "I work 7 days a week in prison to earn at £10.25, but in phone minutes, that equates to just 25 minutes. Prisoners shouldn't have to choose between extra food, toiletries, or phone minutes." I also added stationery to that as well, but she's missed that out. "The prison phone is too expensive, and instead prisoners should be able to receive incoming calls via the prison PIN system." I stick by that. The importance of family ties in prison is massive, and supporting a loved one in prison can be the difference between life and death. I think it would also reduce self-harm and suicides. They're my quotes. There were so many times I saw a relationship break down for whatever reason, and then that prisoner would be smashing up his cell. Again, my quote. Mr. Lachey agreed that prisoners not having to queue for time on limited phones could diffuse potentially violent situations, but there was no point in prisoners having personal phones that they could not afford to use. He added, I see people saying prison is too much like a holiday camp, but these people need to open their eyes. Prison, as it does not work, and it's the last thing they want is to brutalise prisoners and have them become even more disenfranchised and likely to reoffend, because it could be their loved ones who become the victims. So what I'm saying there is the people that want to brutalise prisoners, you should change your opinion, because it could be you or your families that become victims of a prisoner who leaves prison and they goes on to reoffend. Let me nudge that up a bit. Right, so that's that. However, he questioned why the rollout is costing £10 million. 1/3 of the additional £30 million allocated to prisons in the last budget, particularly given the phone lines are already in place. I can't see, guys, right, just put it to you, I know there's administration fees and stuff like that, right, you talk another 50 prisons, right, the prison population, right, it's going to be rolled out, so that would make it up to 70. I think there's about 119 or 120 prisons in England and Wales, right, that's men, women and secure training centres, which are kids prisons. The landlines are already installed, right, although prisons that I've been in, they've been installed. So you just need the phone line's there, the socket's there, so you just need the handset. And the more you buy, the cheaper it is. And then I know there's administration fees on top of that, but I can't see how it's costing 10 million. Anyway, other measures aimed at tackling mobile phones in prisons include body scanners and improved searching techniques, although Mr. Lachey argues most illicit phones in prison are in fact only used for keeping in touch with loved ones rather than criminal behaviour. Now, what I said to her was, don't get me wrong, there are prisoners that use mobile phones illegally to organise drug shipments and contraband coming in. I said the Ministry of Justice would like you to believe that every mobile phone in prison is being, obviously every mobile phone in prison is illegal, but it's what are they using them for? Are they using them for illegal activity, or are they using them to keep in contact with their loved ones because the prison phone's so damn expensive? A lot of prisoners that I've spoken to use the phone strictly to stay in contact with their loved ones. I know it sounds crazy, guys, but it's the reality. The government is also supporting the interference with wireless telegraph bills, which received royal assent on December the 20th, and will allow prisons to jam mobile phone signals to prevent illegal mobile phone use. Easy for me to say. Phone installation is currently underway in 17 prisons, including Wormwood Scrubs in Hammersmith and the Young Offenders Institute ISIS in Greenwich. It's the wrong name for a prison, that, isn't it? Installation is due to start in 13 prisons in 2019, which includes high security prisons Belmarsh and Cat B, Pentonville in Islington. Like I say, guys, now for me, like I say, it is a great initiative. I wholeheartedly support the idea, because how my brain works is this is one step, then the phones are there, then the next thing we need to try and get for prisoners. We've got, once now in-cell phones are rolled out, what we need then is, in-cell phones have been around for a while, to be fair. Prisoners that have had them have ordinarily been cleaners and stuff. I had one in 2016 when I was in Forest Bank. I had a phone in my cell. Plastic phone, wired connection, shitty little thing, just put it on the receiver, pick up, dial your pin, dial your number, jobs are good, and pre-approved numbers. At Forest Bank Prison, they don't pre-approve your number. What I mean by that, for those that don't know, if you're not clued up with prison, if you want to put a loved one's phone number on your PIN, which means you want it pre-approving, in other words, the prison ring, make sure that it's okay, that person's okay, your loved one or your friend or your relative or whoever is okay with you ringing them from the prison on the prison phone. If you say yes, then your number will be cleared. If you say no, it will be rejected. That's how it works ordinarily. At Forest Bank, I know wholeheartedly, solidly, because when I was padded up with a kid who was doing life for murdering his father. His dad tried to nonce his sister off. He killed him with a hammer and stuff like that, and he drowned in his own blood. His face caved in and he drowned in his own blood. Or as my padmate called it, it was a nasty DIY accident. And yeah, so he put my PIN, no one lived with me, he put my prison PIN, he put my phone number, sorry, on his PIN, and he cleared it. He was ringing my house while I was in the cell with him. That's the reality, guys. And I was under the public protection unit as well, public protection unit, because I'd previously been, I was under, I threatened my sister's ex-boyfriend after he severely beat my sister up and blah, blah, blah. And I was under the protection unit, public protection unit for that. And also previously I'd been on remand for witness intimidation. Puts me straight under the public protection unit. All it really means is that your mail's supposed to be screened more than it would a normal prisoner. And yeah, your phone calls are listened to, but they just, you put an app in. So you get this piece of paper, you want to put their number on your PIN. You write down the name, the family relationship, the number, and their relationship to you, right, and their name. Right, you put it, you hand it into the screws. This is done on paper. The screws then pass it to whoever does the security checks, and they just clear your number. Simple as that. Example: I put a number in for my landlord, and it wasn't. They wouldn't clear it. So then I put the number. I put another app in, said it was my uncle, and they cleared it. So there's means and ways around it and stuff. The reason why they don't screen calls and the prison don't ring up prison, whoever's on the apps and stuff, is because it costs money to ring from landlines to mobiles, landline to landline. And it's a private prison. And what private prison's about? Cha-ching! About financial gain. The first goal and the end goal is financial gain for a private prison. So they can save a shitload of money by not ringing. If you think about all these prisoners putting apps in, just at Forest Bank, I'm talking about other prisons as well. Cat A Strangeways, fucking hell. You put an app in there, mate, they check their number. They'll ring your loved one 3 times. If your loved one doesn't pick up 3 times, they'll just scrap that app and you've got to put another app in. That's how it works. But at Forest Bank, private prison, run by Sodexo Justice Services, they will clear the number, any number that you put in. Any number. You put the number in. I'm not talking like babe station stuff. All right, babe, get your tits out and all this. Do you know what I mean? None of that. But yeah, like any landline numbers, any mobile numbers, they will put them through 1,000,000%. Saves them money. But if you look at it like, if you flick the switch and go to those that might be a victim and they don't want the person, say it's a prisoner that's beat his bird up, right? And she doesn't want nothing to do with him, right? And then he puts a number in. He puts an app in with her number on. That number's getting cleared and she doesn't even know it's been cleared. He can then ring her from the jail. Trust me, I've seen it happen. But that just goes on within prisons. Relationships between prisoners and their girlfriends is crazy at best. Absolutely mental. People argue, they'll smash the bird up, they go to jail. Then the bird's coming up on visits. The same bird that's got them on charges he's coming up on visits and stuff, and they're necking on with each other and titting each other up, or he's titting her up, should I say. Yeah, so it's a bit crazy, guys, but phones in cells is definitely a step in the right direction. It's a great initiative. It's, my brain works, right? That's one step. We're one step closer to getting incoming calls, man, and I will campaign for that. I'm going to, next week, I'm going to start lobbying the Prisons Minister Rory Stewart and also the Justice Secretary David Gork. David Gork and Rory Stewart, I'm cynical and very critical of the criminal justice system and the prison system particularly. I've got to be honest, they're saying the right sort of things, and it's a step in the right direction, because obviously earlier this year they was throwing powder spray off. They was giving powder spray for prison officers, and I thought, hang on, you want to further brutalise prisoners here? And I couldn't stand them. This is definitely something for prisoners. And you might just think it's just a phone, it's in your cell, what. You can make calls in private, right? Another thing that's driving me insane, right? To all the taxpayers and those on the right side of the tracks that think they're whiter than white, right, and look down the nose at prisoners, yeah? Let me tell you, the £10 million you're not paying for our phone calls, right? That is, you could, if you're working in prison, you can earn that money and put that credit on your PIN, right? Won't be much, 10, 15, 18, 20, 25 pounds, 28 pounds a week, yeah? If you want to put it all on your phone, yeah? It's prisoners' families for the most part that are footing the bill. And the prison phone is very, very, very expensive. Not everyone's got a landline. If you're ringing a mobile from prison, it's around 39p, 40p a minute. So I work 7 days a week for £10.25 minus £1 for my TV. If I was to put all that credit, all that wage on the prison phone, I would have only got 25 minutes a week for working 7 hard days. It's a reality, guys. And like I say, you've got to think the prisons are getting fat and rich. If you're in a cell, in Strangeways, for example, 22, 23-hour lockup, right? They've now got cells in there. They've now got phones in their cells, I believe. But before, when I was in that prison and there wasn't phones in the cell, you're getting out, there'd be 3 phones on the wing. One of them was ordinarily broke because you've got the inner and you've got the outer, right? And on the outer, I think there was 1, 2. There was 3. I think there was 3 or 4 phones, and there was one that was always broken, or 2. So you've got a wing full of prisoners, 1s to the 4s, getting out, right? And you might have an hour on the yard. You come in from the yard, or you have 45 minutes on the yard. You come in off exercise, and you might say, right, you've got 45 minutes, guys. You've got 45 minutes or an hour to get on the phone. People are on the phone for 15, 20 minutes at a time, right? So prisoners start kicking off. Yeah, get off the phone, man. I need to ring my fucking bird, or my bird's mum's not well, or my nan's not well, or my ma's not well. Let me get on the phone, man. And I've seen people fight in the queue. Whilst I was on the phone, my pad mate, who was IPP, and a kid from across the way, they end up scrapping it behind me and bumped into me whilst on the phone. And I thought, yeah. And all the lads just went sick and said, oi, right, miss shouted, yeah. And we all just shouted like, oi, fuck it, if we get locked up because of you, you're all going to be fucking, we're all going to be fuming with you. That wasn't just me, that was people on the wings, you know what I mean? I'd only just got on the phone, I've been on the phone for about 3 minutes or something, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about the story. I've already covered this. You saw me on Good Morning Britain about this and all that sort of stuff. It's not about what I think, it's about what you think and stuff. Do you think it's a good initiative? Do you think that it's good, but the prison phone is expensive? Do you think price needs to come down of calls? Do you think that Skype should be brought in? They was talking about that. Do you think it's a bad idea? I don't know. Prison officers will welcome this. Prison governors have welcomed this. My only qualm and the only niggling thing in my brain is the Ministry of Justice are giving something to prisoners here, right, which doesn't ordinarily happen, right? It's a big move, trust me, it is a big move. £10 million is a lot of money to spend on prisoners, not around them. Invest in the prisoners, because that prison phone is an extension of a lot of prisons. That's obviously, we're not going on about mobile phones. We know about mobile phones within prison. But yeah, my niggling thing is, I hope they don't think, right, well, if they've got a phone in the cell, we can get away with not letting them out. Because you've got wash facilities, you've not got a shower. Some prisons have got showers in the cell. I know Berwyn have, for example. But they might say, right, well, they've got a toilet, they've got a bed, they've got a toilet, they've got a TV, and they've got a phone in the cell. We don't need to let them out. I hope that's not the case. I'm sure it's not, but I'm very cynical and critical when it comes to the Ministry of Justice. Let me know what you think, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Cody out.